Hello, everybody. This is Howard, the Teaser King, coming to you with week 5 of college football. Today's class on what do we like and we don't like. What are we learning in week 5? There's so many games I like this week. It's just crazy. My lock last week won my 25 unit lock. It was a pro lock. It was Arizona easily over Jacksonville and Baltimore, who had the lead and then struggled against Detroit, but got the win at the end. In a game that shouldn't be that close, but they made it close. So that's what we learn. We learn how good's Baltimore, how good's Detroit. Maybe Detroit's not as bad as we think, but at the end of the day, they still don't know how to win. This week, I have a college pro lock. What does that mean? There's a game I love in college. There's a game I love in the pro. That's my lock. So I pair them together. Right now I got it at 17 units, and I got them each in another teaser. So I have the college game in 2 teasers, the pro in 2 teasers, and together they're locked. Absolutely love the lock. Highly recommend it. This one should be easy. Should be over in the third quarter. Just perfect matchups. So let's explain matchups. Matchups is, let's look at the Michigan-Wisconsin game for matchups. Well, we talked about the Notre Dame-Wisconsin game last week. So I had Notre Dame as the dog. Why? Because I knew they could pass against Wisconsin's defense. It's very hard to run on it, but you could beat it passing, which I learned watching Penn State, Wisconsin, when Penn State was able to pass to beat it. That's what a matchup is. This week, Michigan's got Wisconsin, and Michigan cannot pass very well. They lost their best receiver in the first week, and otherwise they're just kind of a running team. So what do I spend my time? I've been watching these highlight films. They're about 15, 20 minutes on YouTube. So I watched Michigan, Rutgers, USC, Oregon State. So I get a feel of, I see the stats on the team, but I want to see the team and learn from it. So I watched Michigan, Rutgers, and there's a matchup, Michigan and Wisconsin. So let's talk about that. It started Michigan, I think, even or Michigan -1. It's now Wisconsin -1, I believe. And that's a matchup nightmare for Michigan. They run the ball a lot. They couldn't run the ball on Rutgers. They're going to run it on Wisconsin and at Wisconsin. Michigan's a much worse team on the road as a dog versus a Wisconsin team who lost to a really good Penn State team, and then losing to Notre Dame in Chicago. It wasn't as bad as it looked. There was 2 pick sixes and a kickoff return for Notre Dame. That's 21. So they really gave up 20 points. Michigan's defense, I don't know. I mean, it's okay, but it looked like Rutgers was throwing the ball on them pretty easily. When Michigan needed points in the second half last week against Rutgers, they couldn't even get a first down. They're not going to move on Wisconsin, and I don't think they have the passing offense developed to really give Wisconsin problems. And look for Wisconsin to run it down their throat or a little bit of passing, but Michigan's offense is not nearly as potent as Notre Dame's or Penn State's for that matter. So this is where a matchup is. Michigan won't be able to run the ball on Wisconsin. They're not good on the road. Wisconsin now has 2 losses, but against Penn State and Notre Dame, it's not like they lost to Montana and weak teams. Give Michigan credit for beating Washington, who's not that bad of a team, but they're not great. They're not a Don James team that beat Miami in the 80s. So I look at Wisconsin at home. I was praying they were the dog. I had Wisconsin -7. That's my line because I know that's what they're going to do. Wisconsin's winning this game. There's no doubt in my mind. I wanted the dog. I saw Michigan -1 at first, and then it went quickly to Wisconsin -1 or 2. I think if you can get Wisconsin in 5 at home in this game, in a must-win game, Michigan, now they played a close game with Rutgers. It wasn't Northern Illinois. It wasn't Western Michigan. Western Michigan is not that bad. They beat Pitt, and now they're a road favorite to Buffalo. So they're not a bad team, but again, that's the matchup. They couldn't stop the run, and it was new. So that's what you're seeing here. So that's my matchup is a running team going against a great run defense. You're in trouble. And you better develop a passing attack. So just want to talk about matchups. So how do you pick games? So let's talk about that. You usually look at history, and then you try to watch them on the little 20-minute highlights. So it goes through the game. It shows you some key plays and all the scoring. And then you determine, well, this guy's got a pretty good quarterback or not. Their defense, like Oregon State, USC. USC's defense is terrible. Slovis didn't do anything, and Oregon State's quarterback looked fantastic. That guy should be up for the Heisman Trophy. He made USC look like a high school team. So, in my view, that's what I learned there is USC's not that good, and Oregon State's excellent. That's why you watch. So then you try to, is that what's going to happen? And, how do I read the futures? By looking at the history. So there's so many games this week to play. I also look at the teams and I try to say, well, are they a passing team or a running team? How's their defense? And then I try to rank the teams. If they're really strong, then they get an A. Arizona's, probably Alabama is the best A, where they have a great offense and a good defense. So there's different types of A's. There's A's that kind of don't score a lot, but then there's A's that score a lot, like Alabama. And what you're looking for is a mismatch. So you're looking for the weak team, and you want to bet the strong team against the weak team. Last week was crazy because all the weak teams looked better than they were. And then you got to question, are they really that weak? An example is South Florida. I had BYU in the game. South Florida played them very well, and I think they lost 34-27, which I wasn't expecting South Florida to score that much. But then I looked at them against Florida. Florida's got a great defense, and they lost 42-20. So even though they gave up a lot of points, they scored 20 points on Florida. I don't know how much was in junk time, but still, that's very impressive. So maybe South Florida is not as weak as I think, or they can score more, but they got a weak defense. So this week they got SMU. So let's get into that game. So SMU's laying 20.5, 21. Over under is 68. So I had a question, do you like the over in the game? And I'm like, well, at first I liked SMU thinking South Florida stinks. But then I'm looking at South Florida scoring points, and I said, well, SMU could get way up, and South Florida, like last week, BYU had them by 30 or 20 points at the half, and I'm laying 16. And then they ended up close. BYU still wins, but BYU obviously let up at the end. So I don't know. SMU put up 50 points on TCU, which is normally a very good defensive team, but SMU is a nightmare. Their quarterback's from Oklahoma, Mordecai. He transferred over. So I don't know. It's a hard one. I think SMU minus 14 kills them. Will it get over? It'll get over if South Florida, can put up 30 points on SMU, which I don't know. This is a conference game. They're both in the same conference. So I think SMU, will they be flat after beating TCU? I don't think so. Not at home, not in a conference game. You're not going to really get that flatness. So I look at SMU, and as I told you, okay, how do we pick? Forget the spread, pick the score. I see SMU getting in the 50s easily in this game, and then South Florida probably in the 20s. Maybe they hit 30. So maybe 56-30 is 86, which covers the over. But I can't see SMU not covering 14 points against South Florida. So in this game, I like it both, but I think I would take SMU. I think they're probably used to a more of a passing team, and South Florida is just, they're just not that good. Really weak defense. SMU lit up TCU. There's no reason they're not going to light up SMU and get at least a 50 here. So if they get a 50, I got to lay 14. South Florida does not have a type of offense that's going to keep up. Let's look at live dogs. When I'm betting, I like to take a live dog. What's a live dog? A live dog is a team that I think can win the game. Notre Dame last week, Wisconsin, I took the dog. Baylor and Iowa State, I took the dog, and I took Baylor. So I like looking for those teams that can win and they're getting points. That's why I liked when I first talked Michigan, Wisconsin. I was praying Wisconsin was the dog at home against Michigan. I would have locked that game heavily and put it with the other two that I've already locked. So the lock on the sites, I made it 17 units, 25 units. It's a very strong lock. The units are the units. I'm just trying to say bet more on the game. My perception is I rank the games on the site more to get you to bet stronger, because we can't bet the same amount on every teaser. You'll lose because you're going to get a couple of losers in there, which kill the teasers. So then you got to win 2 teasers. You lose 2 teasers, even though you go 6-2, and you end up, if you bet 500 on each, you break even. Well, you lose the juice. So I got to differentiate. And that's the key to teasers. You differentiate the amount bet. So that's why I put more units out there. So 7 or 9 unit game I don't love, but then the game I love is 15 units, or like last week, 25 units. And what I'm saying is based on your bankroll, you're going to bet. I want you to bet more on that. So when we do lose the other couple of games, you'll still be a winner because you bet more on the lock or the higher ranked games than the lower ranked games. I don't know where the loser is going to be. It could be in the lock. It could be in the low game. Some weeks I lose the lock and I hit all the low games. Some weeks I hit the lock and lose the low games. So, I don't know which games I'm going to lose, but I'm trying to, if I have more risk in them, I am trying to lower the bet so I don't get killed on it. So what are live dogs again? So the Notre Dame, Wisconsin live dog, I took Notre Dame based on the matchup of they could pass the ball and the quarterback had played for Wisconsin. Even though the quarterback got hurt, the backup came in. So that was the same thing. So Baylor was another dog. So let's look at some live dogs this week. I like Virginia against Miami. I think they're the better team and would very easily win the game. I like Georgia Tech against Pittsburgh. Why? Well, because Georgia Tech matched up and beat North Carolina badly. They put up 40 on North Carolina. So what that tells me is North Carolina throws the ball. So does Pitt. Pitt's a passing offense. Well, Georgia Tech obviously doesn't have a problem with the passing offense. They're a home dog. They just beat North Carolina, and North Carolina is better than Pitt. So that's another live dog I like. Don't hit me, but I actually like Buffalo, but I'm not going to play them until they get right. But Western Michigan goes in a 7-point favorite at Buffalo, and Buffalo played Coastal Carolina with Grayson, their quarterback, who's a lot better than Western Michigan, and they lost 24-22. So I do like Buffalo here as a home dog. Again, I think they could easily win the game. I don't think Western's so much better than them. Eastern Michigan is playing Northern Illinois, and I just think Eastern Michigan's a better team. I have Northern Illinois as a W. What's a W? A W is a team that they don't score a lot, but they give up a lot. But they're not quite a Z, so they score a little bit, but their defense is weak. And Eastern I have as a B. What's a B? Well, there's an A, which is like Alabama, which they score 40 and give up 10. It's something where they give up less than 20 points. So Eastern probably scores 30 and gives up 20 or something. I show them as an even team offensively, and they're mostly a passing team. But I show Northern Illinois as a weak team, and they are both on offense. They can run and pass. But I just think Eastern is a better team. They're a B versus a W. This is why I rank them. So I'm looking for that, going, I had Eastern Michigan as the favorite. They put Northern Illinois as the favorite. So now this is a game. If I did play it, I'd play it small. I probably won't play it only because I have so many others this week. It's unbelievable. I got half the board I like. Another live dog, Nevada. They're playing. Who are they playing? They're playing Boise. I had Boise -10. Boise's -7 in the line. Boise's an A team, although they did use to UCF. But Nevada beat Cal, and Nevada's got a great quarterback and a very strong team. They're not scared of Boise because they are in the same conference. So again, they're a strong dog. So you get 13 in Nevada, but I hate going against Boise. So it's a game I'll probably watch more than play. But again, I think Nevada can win the game, and I think they won at Cal. So they have the quarterback and they have the coach. So I don't see why they would have a problem. Again, Baylor. Where's Baylor? Baylor is playing Oak State. Oak State's laying 3.5. Oak State's an under team this year. They're not scoring. They have a very weak offense, and it's mostly a passing offense, which they usually do. Baylor is very strong. I have them as a B, probably an A, an over team, and they're both. They get 600 yards a game, and it's pretty much 300 running and 300 passing. Good luck defending that. Oklahoma State has a decent defense, but not an Alabama or a Georgia defense. Again, Baylor beat Iowa State last week. I think Iowa State's just as good or better than Oklahoma State. You get 9.5, and Baylor, again, they could easily win the game. Now, last week they were a home dog. This week we're a road dog. But again, I think Baylor's the better team here. I have them ranked as the better team, and they can score behind. Baylor should score, and they have the balanced offense. Another dog is Liberty. Where do I have Liberty? Liberty's playing UAB, and I had Liberty favored by 3. The spread's UAB laying 1.5. Liberty's a very good team. They just lost to Syracuse by a field goal last week, which I was a little surprised they lost. But this is more in their league, right? UAB is not a Syracuse team. They're not a Power 5 team. I hate that Power 5. They're not as strong as these conference teams. They're an under team, so they don't score a lot. And they're both Liberties. I got them as a B. They're an over team. They got a great quarterback, and they're very well balanced. Picking the score 24-20 Liberty, maybe more, maybe they get into the 30s. UAB does have a decent defense, so I think Liberty is a very live dog, very easily could win. You're getting 7.5. I just think they're the better team over UAB. So that's what I mean with dogs. The other dog, Michigan, Wisconsin. I like Wisconsin. I was hoping they were the dog. That would have been a lock. So I don't like Michigan in that game at all. They do not play well on the road against a very good team, and they do not play well in Wisconsin. And Wisconsin now has 2 losses, one in conference. They can't afford another. And the loss to Notre Dame, they were right in the game. They just threw some bad passes because the quarterback isn't very good. But I think they're going to shove it down Michigan's throat. This game a couple years ago, Michigan actually quit in the game. Wisconsin beat them like 56-7, and Michigan in the second half actually quit. Wisconsin would run the ball. Nobody was tackling. It was embarrassing for Harbaugh, but they got that in the back of their mind, like, we're going to Wisconsin, and Wisconsin has no problem beating Michigan at home. I look for Wisconsin's best effort, and they don't have to worry about the matchup. Michigan cannot throw the ball, so they're not going to worry about that matchup. Michigan, they're not going to get 100 yards rushing in this game. They had trouble with Rutgers at home, so that tells you a lot right there. I love Wisconsin in this game. Cincinnati, Notre Dame game. Cincinnati's a 2-point favorite, and at first I thought, well, the Notre Dame quarterback got hurt last week. He's not playing. No, he's fine. He's probable, and he's supposed to be playing. So You got Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati as a dog in this game. I got Notre Dame a 3-point favorite, and then they're making Cincinnati the favorite. And I'm like, I don't think so. Notre Dame just showed you they beat Wisconsin as a dog. Wisconsin, to me, is a similar team to Cincinnati. Great defense. Cincinnati's got a great defense. Cincinnati's quarterback's way better than Wisconsin's. I love Cincinnati, but I don't know I love them here. But keep in mind, this is the Ohio State coach, Luke Fickell, and he's running the Ohio State offense and defense now. So it's like Ohio State playing Notre Dame almost. So be careful there. Cincinnati's an outstanding team. I don't know. I'm afraid I have Cincinnati as an A, as an over, and they are very good offensively both ways. Running quarterback who can hit. This is Russell Wilson, right? So Cincinnati's got Russell Wilson, not a Lamar Jackson he runs the ball all the time. This kid is Russell Wilson. So you got Russell Wilson against Notre Dame. Their starting quarterback looks like he's going to play. Their backup played okay last week, so I'm not worried about that. Over under a 50, I would think it would be an under game, but I don't know. That one's a real – Cincinnati's got a lockdown defense. I mean, this game's going to be 24-20, let's say. That's about what I see on the score. Something probably a lot lower scoring. I don't know that Cincinnati's going to get 2 pick sixes and a kickoff return like Notre Dame did against Wisconsin. So if Notre Dame doesn't get pick sixes, which they probably won't against this quarterback, their offense got 20 on Wisconsin. That's about what I see about a 24-20 game. If you really want to bet it, I would take Notre Dame an 8 because their quarterback is playing. But this is a game I want to watch, but I don't want to take a big risk. When you gamble, you don't want to take risk. You want to bet against the weaker team. So this is a game Notre Dame an 8 against Wisconsin. I knew they could pass on Wisconsin, and they were getting 6 points. So they were getting 12 in the teaser, and their quarterback was from Wisconsin. Here, the quarterback edge is huge on Cincinnati. The defense is huge on Cincinnati. The coaching is even. This is a game I was hoping I'd get Notre Dame -3, and I probably would have locked Cincinnati a 9. That's how strong Cincinnati is. But again, this is when you kind of watch, is because there's a lot of risk, because Notre Dame could at home as a home dog very easily win the game. Cincinnati, a very strong team, but to me, they're not a road favorite here. Cincinnati's a road favorite against South Florida, maybe against Memphis, but against Notre Dame, that's a tough one. I'd really have a hard time taking Cincy in this game. Let's talk Alabama, Old Mississippi. Alabama's laying 4.5. The over-under is freaking 79. Okay, this is Alabama. 79-point over-under. Now, Mississippi has I always have struggle with this coach's name. He's the coach that quit Tennessee, quit USC, goes to Alabama, and is their offensive coordinator. So Alabama's an A and over, and primarily a passing team. Ole Miss is an over team. They're not an A team. They give up a lot on defense. They are obviously a strong passing team and score a lot. Let's look at the score. Alabama probably is going to hit 60 in this game, and Ole Miss probably 40. I do not see Alabama stopping Mississippi stopping Alabama. They don't have a good – LSU could stop them with that defense 2 years ago, right? When Burrow lit them up, they basically shut out. But again, you had Tagliabue, who's a lousy quarterback outside of Alabama. Alabama's quarterback's okay, but he seems to learn the system. So I'm looking at Alabama here. They should win. I mean, the Mississippi's not going to win. So then do they win? I think 8's a cheap number. Let me see what Thomas Schroer is saying. Have you seen how well Tagliabue's younger brother is playing for Maryland? Yes, I do. I think he's better, and Maryland does not run the trick offense that Alabama does. So yeah, I give him more credit. He's leading the Big Ten, and Maryland's a very explosive team. So yes, I do. Maryland could be a live dog. Let's see, who's Maryland playing? Let me see. Maryland. There's so many games, it takes me a few minutes to see where they are on the chart. Maryland. They're not playing Penn State, Minnesota, Purdue. Yeah, against Iowa. Yeah, I do think they're a live dog. I think Iowa again is different on the road, but they did beat Iowa State, who's a good team. It's a hard one because Iowa's defense is very, very strong. Both teams I rate as Bs. It's just Maryland's over in a passing team. They don't have the balance, and Iowa's pretty balanced in an under team. They could be a live dog, but I hate going against Iowa on the road. Maryland is a home dog. This is the game we'll see how Tagovailoa's brother plays, right? This is the test that you look for when you see him beats Iowa. Then yes, I give you full credit, and that'll open my eyes. It'd be better if it was at Iowa and he won, but yeah, I mean, pick a score. I think Iowa gets 20, Maryland probably in the 20, probably in both games in the 20s. So yeah, Maryland should be able. The over/under is 47.5. It's low because of Iowa on the defense does not give up a lot of points. So we'll see. Iowa will definitely blitz, and we'll see how good he is scrambling and how good their offense is. Had Maryland beaten a good team, I would agree with you. Had they beaten Penn State or Ohio State, Wisconsin, then I would agree. So let's see. I don't think they played anybody the caliber of Iowa's defense. And this is where you're learning. And this is why I say about Tagovailoa, he doesn't, when he played the good teams, the Clemsons, the Ohio States, the LSUs, he didn't do anything. Neither did Trevor Lawrence. That's why I make the comments I make about these guys. Joe Burrow did. He killed Alabama. He killed Clemson. He killed Ohio State. He killed Georgia, Florida. He beat the best, all these pro teams in the SEC. He lit them up. He didn't struggle with them. Tagovailoa and Lawrence struggled against the better defenses. That's why I say what I say. I'm watching them in college against these teams. So if Tagovailoa Jr. here can beat Iowa, now it'll be helpful, but they're at home. That'll tell me a lot about him. But until he wins that game, I can't agree with that. Another game I like, I think I'm done with Alabama. Take Alabama, lay 8.5. I think Alabama, they're scared because of Ole Miss. It's Lane Kiffin's the coach. I get him eventually. Again, Lane Kiffin throws the ball. Alabama will defense it. They'll give up points, but Alabama won't stop scoring. And they'll put up at least 50 points in this game. And I just don't think Mississippi's going to put up 50. And you're laying 8, so even 55 to 40 is a winner. So I will not bet against Alabama at home with a team that doesn't have a defense or Joe Burrow. That's the only type of team I'll take against Alabama is Joe Burrow's LSU team, maybe a strong Ohio State team. That's about it. Maybe this year's, if they played Georgia, but they don't. And they showed me something against Florida. Florida actually had them pretty good, which showed me a lot about Florida. One game I want to talk about is Penn State, Indiana. Penn State goes to Wisconsin and wins, as we know. I got Penn State -10. They're now -12.5. There's a huge revenge game on this. This is the game where Indiana kind of won on a bad call at the end. They went for 2. They beat them like 35-34 last year. Their quarterback, Penix, was good. Now he hurt his knee, and he's not nearly as good. So this is revenge. Penn State's much better. They're at home, and they're pissed off because it gave them like a 4-game losing streak was from this first game against Indiana. Indiana looks awfully weak. Western Kentucky almost beat them last week, 33-31. Indiana won. And Western Kentucky can really throw. They got a great quarterback who just lights it up, throws for like 500 yards a game. This is revenge. Penn State, if you can get them under 7, it's 12.5 now. Take Penn State in this game. 54 is probably an over also because Indiana will score, but they haven't looked very good, Indiana. I thought they'd be a better team, but Penn State is out for blood in this game. Again, this is a revenge game you bet is when they lost. It created a 4-game losing streak, but Penn State's the better team and pissed and at home. This is when revenge happens. I can see Penn State winning 38-10. I mean, again, they're going to be on fire. They're going to be all over Penix. Penix is scared of his knee still. He's not fully. He's like Mackenzie Milton. They got that injury. It's in their mind. They're just not. They're not ready, and they're putting pressure on them. So I definitely think Penn State in this revenge game. In a revenge game, you gotta have a team that can revenge, right? So if Ohio State loses to Oregon next year, if they play Oregon, Ohio State's going to kick their ass. But you got to have a team that can do that. You can't revenge Northwestern or Purdue. You gotta revenge Penn State and Ohio State, Alabama. Those are the teams that, when they get the fire in their eyes, and they're going to kill you. I mean, that's the revenge. What else? Let's see. Okay, Oregon State, Washington. Okay, now this is a game I found on the film. Watching Oregon State USC highlights just this morning. Oregon State, Jesus Christ, they're going to win the Pac. They're so much better than Oregon. They're so much better than Stanford. It's unbelievable. The quarterback's great. They got receivers, the running backs. They're a fucking awesome team, Oregon State. They're only laying 2.5 in this game because nobody knows who they are. They should be a 10-point favorite in this game. Washington got killed by Michigan, lost to the other. They looked a little bit better last week, but even watching those highlights against Cal, what was the final there? Washington, Cal. Washington won 31-24 against Cal, who doesn't have that strong of an offense. I guarantee Oregon State wins this game. And, okay, if that was a 31-24, I got Oregon State winning 45-17 here. Oregon State, Jesus Christ. I mean, this team, the offense, and they're playing at USC, right? And USC had a 14-7 lead. And Slovich looked okay, didn't look great. And then all of a sudden, Oregon State, boom, 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 walked down the field. USC looked like a high school team. They look like a Rice or something. I mean, this is USC they're killing. This game's at home. They got confidence after beating USA. I don't see them being flat. I see them killing Washington. This game, I don't think will be close. So take Oregon State in the points. 2.5, you get 3.5. I'd bet that pretty strong. Absolutely. What else I got? Brett, I like Maryland over Iowa. Yeah, I mean, it's good, but you got to be careful with Iowa's defense. That's all I'm saying. When you got a good defensive team and they got a decent quarterback and they're well coached, you got to be careful. You want Maryland against a weak team. You want them against South Florida. You want them against Rice, against New Mexico. The weaker teams is where Maryland will blow them out. You always got to be careful against tough defensive teams. And if they're playing Georgia, I don't like Maryland against Georgia because they're not going to move against them. So that's the problem with a team that's an offensive passing team. You put pressure on the quarterback. Now what are you going to do? You can't run, so I'm going to ignore that. You're in trouble, and that's why you see that. So you've got to be careful of Iowa's defense. They're gonna blitz this guy. He'll throw 3 interceptions at least in the game. And Iowa didn't come there to lose, so I'd be very careful. I just gave you. I would rather you play. I'd rather you play Virginia over Miami, or just take Oregon State, the game I gave you, or take Alabama. They're much better investments than trying to fuck with Iowa's defense. Maryland doesn't have a good enough defense. Their defense, they're an over team. So that means Iowa can score. They're going to have long time consuming running drives and their little passes. No, Maryland doesn't have the defense in this game. You think LSU takes care of business against Auburn? LSU, I read Stingley's questionable for the game. He's the best cornerback in the country. What's the line on it? LSU's laying 3.5. Both teams are similar. LSU's a little more passing. I don't love LSU's quarterback, Johnson. Auburn is both. Now, Auburn, I have no idea, because Auburn played a really weak Division I team and a Division II team and beat them 70-0. So Washington looks like, Auburn looks like a really explosive team. Then they get to Penn State, and Penn State beats them 28-20. Another reason I like Penn State over Indiana, because they beat Auburn at home 28-20, and Auburn's much better than Indiana. I like Bo Nix, but Auburn hasn't shown, that was their one game. They beat 28-20. They were losing last week to some nobody, some weak team. So LSU, on a Saturday night at home, normally will take care of business. It's a very tough place. And Auburn, I don't think, has the defense. Let me check that out. Yeah, Auburn doesn't have the defense. Well, they're a B team, but again, they played weak opposition. So all I can go with Auburn is the Penn State game. LSU, I can go mostly the UCLA game, but I think LSU beat somebody good let's see what they did last week. LSU, they beat Mississippi State 28-24, who on the road. So, I think LSU can handle Auburn. I wouldn't lay any. You're going to be getting 2.5 in a teaser. So, that I can see them winning the game. What you're looking for in these games is the defense. That's the key. If you don't have a good defense, then the other team's just going to dominate you. And even though you have a great offense, you're not going to see the ball half the game. So LSU, I think can win. Boise over Nevada. No, I like Nevada as the dog. Nevada is a very strong team. They beat Cal. They got a great quarterback. They're well coached. I think this is a close game. Let's look at the score. You pick a score and I'll pick a score. Forget the spread. Let's see. I'll say 31-30 is the score I pick. So I don't know who the winner is, but Nevada will not get blown out by Boise. So you're getting how many points? You're getting 6.5. You get 12.5, 13. Yeah, I like Nevada in that number. Nevada is a very good team, very good coach, very good quarterback, and they beat Cal, so they have it. Mr. Miller, Notre Dame always finds a way to win in regular season. Absolutely. Well, you heard me talk about it. Cincinnati is a very, very strong team. Had Notre Dame been favored, I would be locking Cincinnati. If Notre Dame was a 3-point favorite, I would take Cincinnati a 9 all day. The fact Cincinnati's favorite, I agree. Notre Dame, you're making them a freaking home dog. Their quarterback is playing, so the regular quarterback's gonna be playing in the game. He's not. He got injured in the Wisconsin game, but it wasn't anything serious, and he's probable. So, and I don't mind their backup. He didn't do too bad against Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they probably find a way to win. I think this is a 2017 game. I just got the score in my head. I get a lot of that. I see the scores. I see the games. I get feelings. That's how I pick a lot. And that's how I decide a lot is I feel, is this going to, like Michigan, Wisconsin, I just feel Wisconsin absolutely is going to win that game. Yeah, I feel 2017. I feel it'll be close. I think this game goes down to the wire with the field goal. So, yeah, you can tease the dog in the game, but I don't know that Notre Dame wins it. It's not going to be like Wisconsin. Cincinnati's a whole different animal. They got Ritter, who's a very strong quarterback. Like I said, they're playing Russell Wilson. The guy can run and the guy can pass. He's going to pick up first downs running and passing, unlike the Wisconsin quarterback, who basically is not very good. You're betting Wisconsin because they can run the ball, but Notre Dame could shut that down. Michigan's going to have a much harder time at home. And believe me, Wisconsin's quarterback is not very good. He's got 2 touchdowns and 7 picks so far. But again, they played Penn State and Notre Dame, so he can't really pad his stats. But, yeah, I think I don't know, but it's going to be a field goal game. I would take the points in the game. But, yeah. Here's a game like Coastal Carolina. Well, no, that's not. Let's see. Florida State laying 4.5 to Syracuse. Now, there's a live dog for you. Over under 52. Florida State's very weak. Mackenzie Milton is just not himself yet. I think he will be, but not now. Florida State's a both. They run and pass. So Syracuse, but Syracuse just beat Liberty, which is a very good team. And they play Florida State. Florida State's laying 4.5. I think this game's even. So again, that's where I think Syracuse is the better team right now. And Mackenzie Milton's struggling with the terrible knee injury he had. He's just not the same. He's, after sitting out 2 years, it takes a while. I think he will be the superstar that he was. But at this point, Syracuse can definitely win the game. Duke and North Carolina. This is a game. This is a rivalry game. This is Ohio State, Michigan in the South. Duke laying 20 just got killed by Georgia Tech. Over under 72. Duke's a very high scoring team, but they don't have a defense. And apparently North Carolina doesn't have a defense either after what Georgia Tech did to them. I'm not sure I like the North Carolina quarterbacks all that. He's got a lot of interceptions, a lot of turnovers. I don't think he's all that. You getting 20 points. I think Duke in 26 definitely keeps the game competitive. I see this as a 40-30 type of game. I think Duke can get you that late touchdown if they need it, but I think this game gets close. Okay, one strong game. Now here's how I rank teams, right? So Boston College goes to Clemson. Forget a line. The line's 11, I think, or 15 or 11. I saw it go to 15. Now it's 11. Over under 47. So Boston College's quarterback's out. Jerkovich, the quarterback, transfer from Notre Dame, he's out. They got the backup in. He's not that good. He doesn't get a lot of yards. Clemson, we know their quarterback's terrible. They can't score. They couldn't score in NC State. And their defense they held Georgia scoreless. That's how good their defense is. So Clemson is now turned into not an A team. They've always been the last 5-6 years. They're now an under team. What's an under team? They don't score, and their defense is superb. And that's what you have here. You have a team that can't score and you're not going to score on them. They're going to shut out Boston College. Boston College will not. This is a game you go under. This is a game you're not worried about Clemson's offense. They don't have one. And BC's defense is, it's okay, but this is not going to be high scoring. This will be low scoring. And this is what you look for. You look for an under team like a Clemson where they don't have an offense. They don't have a good quarterback. They have a great defense. So where's the points coming from? Clemson's going to run the ball, run the clock. BC with the backup quarterback can't do anything. Clemson wins 21-3 or something like that. You give BC a 3 or a 7. That's all you're going to see in the end. This is not going to be high scoring. So that's what you look at. That's where you get the under. So that's why you try to look at these teams over unders. Are they overs? I've been playing UCLA over because they score a bunch, but their defense isn't very good. So I found my over UCLA. The Clemson's my under. Army used to be my under, but now they're scoring too many points, so I can't take them under. So now I just take our Army or, or whatever. But so you watch, and that's what you learn. Okay, that's probably the biggest lesson you can learn is the team from last year to this year. Buffalo, a Marshall, an Army, Navy, Clemson. What they were last year is not what they are this year. So you have to decipher this year who's the Clemson and who's the new under team and who's the new over team. And with this transfer portal, it's ridiculous. So you've got to, like, now I'm finally getting into, okay, they're playing conference games. So I could see Oregon State, where before it doesn't matter, they're playing Division II teams. But now when they go to USC and put up 47, now I got a feel of Oregon State and I can see what they are. And that's the key to it. So that's what you learn is, okay, who's everybody this year? Who's the strong team? Who's the weak team? All this transfer. Look at Michigan State. They're terrible last year. They get 15 transfers in. Now they're a much better team. That's what you look for. But it takes 3-4 weeks of them playing good teams to get that feel. So that's what you're trying to learn this year. Who's what? Derek Miller. My opinion, Alabama beat dog crap out of Ole Miss. Nick doesn't lose. Yeah, well, that's what I said. I definitely Alabama. I think it'll be 60-40. And you're laying 8. So there you go. You can probably bet the over on it, but it's such a high over. I don't see the value there. How do you lay 79? So you tease it to 73. What is, so if you think of the score, 73 is 50-20, and you're probably going to get that. But again, it's such a high number. I like going over in the 50s or going under in the 60s when I got good, like Clemson here is 53. That's a good, that'll be hard to get in that game. UCLA over last week was 58. I just needed 52, and they got to the 60s. That's what I like because, again, they're just trying to win the game. All right, what else? Florida, Kentucky. Interesting game. Kentucky looks pretty good this year, but Florida played Alabama great, and they show they're more than just a running team, and they have a good defense. Florida is only laying 8. I had Florida as a 17-point favorite. They're only laying already a teaser. If you get Florida under 3, I like Florida in the game. I just think that they'll beat Kentucky. Kentucky seems to be a good team. Kentucky's an over, and they're balanced. Florida, though, played Alabama tough, and they shut them out in the second half or held them to 7 points or so. I don't know if I can see my screen freezing a little bit, but I think I'm still coming through. So let me know if I'm freezing on you. Kentucky seems okay, but Florida is a much better team, I believe. And the way they held Alabama pretty much scoreless in the second half and made that game, you play with Alabama, you're going to be able to beat Kentucky and laying less than 3. That's exactly what I like. We talked about Michigan, Wisconsin. UTSA against UNLV. A lot of letters there. I have Vegas as a Z team, even though they scored. They have multiple injuries to both their quarterbacks. They're both questionable. So they probably, I'm sure one of them will play, but they don't score a lot. They are balanced, but they're a Z team, means they don't score and they have a terrible defense. UTSA, I have them as an A team. They're very strong. They're an over team, and they are balanced. So they got a good quarterback, and they can run. And when you have that, they got a great running back. They're laying 21, so you lay 15. I think they just pound Vegas. I don't think Vegas can come back if they get up big. And teams like UTSA, when they play these weak teams, they kill them because they want to show, look how good we are. So they don't. This isn't a game. A UTSA doesn't, overlooks Vegas. This is a game they go and they lick their chops and they just run it up on them. Because they're a balanced team, they got a good quarterback and a great running back. UTSA will have no problem scoring all day. And then because you're laying 21 down to 15, when they get up 45-3 and they bring in the second team, it's okay. The problem is, like, if they're laying 36, like Army was laying 34 to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they get up 45, and then they're, I think it was Connecticut, and they got a late touchdown, but Army didn't care. They're already up 45-14, but then they don't cover the 34. But when you're only laying 15, it's a different, then inevitably that's when they win by 40s, when you're only laying 14 or 10 or something like that. Lou Lafayette against South Alabama. Lou Lafayette has Levi Lewis, outstanding quarterback. He's kind of a Russell Wilson, but he runs a little bit more. Very good quarterback, very good arm, but he can run. He can escape. They're an over team. They're a very good team, although Texas beat the shit out of them, but that'll help them. And they like to pass. South Alabama is also a B team, but they're an under team, and they can pass. Louisiana Lafayette's laying 12. You cut it to 6. I think they win by a touchdown. I don't think South Alabama is that strong of a team. And again, Lou Lafayette, this is a Sun Belt team that they won the Sun Belt a few times the last few years. I think it's a very good team. And as long as Levi Lewis is there, their quarterback, he's like this Trey Lance guy on Frisco, right? Only he's better, and he's on a real team, not Division II. What else? Marshall, Middle Tennessee. I don't know. I'm afraid of Marshall. They look good. They blew a big lead the other week, and then they look good last week. So I don't know. They're laying 10. You cut them to 4. Middle Tennessee State is an even team, an under team, and they're a passing team. Just like Marshall, but I'm seeing Gary Wells, Marshall's quarterback, throw a lot of interceptions lately, so I'm a little bit afraid of Marshall. This is where they were very strong the last few years, but they don't seem as strong this year. So I'm learning, be careful with them. Here's a game I like. Nebraska laying 11.5 to Northwestern. Okay, so I was a little concerned with Northwestern. They blew an easy game against Illinois. Then they go ahead and they beat Buffalo. But even when they beat Buffalo, they didn't dominate them. They got a few lucky plays by Martinez, who was scrambling, and he happened to find an alley and ran 2 long runs. And Buffalo kept running into the middle of the line on defense. And so Nebraska really has a strong defense. I got Nebraska as a B team. They're pretty good offensively, but it's all Adrian Martinez. There's no other running back. They showed some good passing against Michigan State last week. So they're coming alive. They're getting better. I love Couch, their coach. I love Martinez, but again, he's not a Russell Wilson yet. He doesn't throw the ball as well, but he is very dangerous running. Northwestern I got them as an E team. They're just even. They score 20, give up 20, so their defense isn't like last year's. And they run and pass. This is revenge for Nebraska. And after the loss to Michigan State, they showed me a lot. Michigan State, I think, is a very good team. You're laying 5.5. I think Nebraska 34-20 in this game. I think they score a lot on Northwestern, and they're pretty pissed off the loss to Michigan State. I think they win this game rather easily. I think it's okay, now we're going to put it together. Martinez looks better. They got more confidence. The defense is playing outstanding. I'm not even sure Northwestern gets 20 points. Maybe it's like a 30-10 game, but I think Nebraska shows them who's boss and gets some revenge and starts winning. They got too much talent. UCLA, Arizona State, great game. I don't know. UCLA, I have them as an A over, which means they score a lot. Their defense is pretty good, but not a Georgia, not an Alabama. The real strong teams are the ones that don't give up. They give up less than 20 a game, and I don't think UCLA's there. But they are explosive. They are balanced, good quarterback, and great running backs. Arizona State is supposed to be an A team. They're very strong, although they lost to BYU. So now I'm like, So I don't think they're a live dog to me. They are an over, and they are both. So they do have, they can run and pass equally well. But the loss to BYU makes me doubt them a little bit. UCLA only laying 3.5 seems like a very low. I had UCLA by 7. They're only 3.5. Over under a 55.5. Now, I've been playing UCLA over. I had them against Stanford over. I had them against Fresno State over, both winners. Tempted to go over, but I don't know. I think Arizona State isn't over, and I think this game will be over because I think UCLA is going to push it. So when UCLA scores 30, it's going to make Arizona State have to score, so they're going to keep scoring. I think over 55 is 49. 49 is 30-20, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. I don't see Arizona State with this killer defense that they're supposed to have. Let's pick a score. UCLA 35, Arizona State 30. How about that? That's 65. Seems about right. I think Arizona State has enough talent and coach to play them, but I don't think they can hold UCLA's offense. Another game, Fresno State. I had minus 21 to Hawaii's lane 10. Their quarterback, I was worried about him. He got hurt in the UCLA game and still came back to win the game with a hurt side. Looked, this kid's great. I don't know what they're talking about when they say, well, there's nobody to draft. Shit, I'd be drafting this guy. He's outstanding. Him and the Coastal Carolina guy, Grayson, and this guy's Hayner those are NFL quarterbacks. I don't know what else you want to see, but this guy ripped UCLA apart, which are a lot of pros on that team. So laying 10 in Hawaii. Hawaii is an average team. They're an over team that is a passing team, and Fresno State, more of an A team. They have a pretty good defense. They won at UCLA. Going to Hawaii, they will win the game. They're only laying for 44 to maybe 30, Fresno State. So Fresno State scores a lot, gets the win. The over-under is 65. That's a high number because I'm not sure how much Hawaii is going to score, but Fresno State for sure is gonna light them up. Hawaii doesn't have the defense, and again, they beat UCLA and went up and down the field on them. So that's what I'm looking for: strong versus weak. Hawaii doesn't have the defense to hold them. Question is how much Hawaii's offense can, but without the defense, Fresno State will get at least a 14, 20-point win here. Okay. So again, I have a lock, college pro lock. I rated 17 units. Bet a lot on it is what I'm saying. So I gave you a lot of dogs. I gave you a lot of reasons. I gave you a lot of be carefuls. That's really what you're trying to do. So you go through the board, you go, who do I like? Who don't I like? Who can I trust, basically? So you're looking at who I can trust and who I need to, like the Maryland-Iowa game. You got to be careful because Iowa's defense and Iowa coach and Iowa's it's not the team you fuck around with Maryland. You fuck around with them against Rutgers, or I don't even know Rutgers, maybe Illinois, which I think they did beat them, but they look at that game. All right, Maryland, Illinois. That was, I think, week 3. Where's that? Yeah. Okay. So Maryland beats Illinois 20-17. Okay. That tells you a lot about what's going to happen in this game, right? Illinois, strong defense. Maryland only put up 20 points on them. Forget where it was at. Okay. It was at Illinois, but still, they only scored 20 on them. So you only scored 20 on Illinois. What are you going to do against Iowa? You think you're going to light Iowa up? Nobody lights Iowa up. Maybe Ohio State with their type of offense, but not Maryland. So here's where you've got Maryland is not a balanced team. That's why Ohio State runs it up, right? You can't stop their running and their pass. And they just look, if you got 8 in the box, they throw the ball. If you cover the receivers, they run it. If everything's up tight and the receivers, the quarterback runs. This is why all the quarterbacks at Ohio State look like superstars in college, because the offense is so complex and so balanced, and they got great linemen and they got great running backs and great receivers. Believe me, Fields does not have Olave and J.K. Dobbins on his team in Chicago, right? He's got better talent at Ohio State playing Purdue's and Michigan's and Illinois' and weak teams than he does in the pros. That's why they fail. They don't run the same system. They don't have that. They don't have the talent. So then he starts running. You saw it happen against Cleveland, right? They sacked him like 6 times. He had no clue the blitz was coming. He had no clue how to read it and get rid of the ball. And he tries to outrun Myles Garrett, who's faster than him. This is the problem with Ohio State. But in college, the defense determines what they're going to do. So if it's a lot in the box, they throw it. If it's not, they pass it. And Olave's always open. He's a superstar receiver. So basically, that's what you have going, is that type of team. So that's why you got to. So, but those are the teams that are going to blow out on Iowa, not a passing team. All they do is they'll blitz them, and Maryland will be lucky to. I don't think Maryland is going to win the game, but they'd be lucky to do it. But again, it's betting into a strong defensive team like in Iowa. Look at Iowa State, who's better than Maryland. Brock Purdy's a better quarterback, and then they killed him. So yeah, don't mess. So those are the games. That's what you're looking for. It's too much risk. It's Fresno State, Hawaii. It's Baylor is a strong dog against Oak State. It's Alabama. Okay, they'll beat Mississippi. They don't have a defense. Oregon State is a late favorite. Those are teams you want. Notre Dame, Cincinnati, you want to watch, because the play would be Notre Dame as a home dog. Cincinnati's like Ohio State, so they're freaking very strong team. So you got to be careful with that. It wouldn't, and it's a big revenge game for Cincinnati, because when the Notre Dame coach left, he left Cincinnati undefeated, Kelly. And here comes the bowl game, and they're undefeated. They could be number one, and Kelly goes to Notre Dame, and he leaves the team. Well, Cincinnati ain't going to forget that. That's probably why they're favored. But that's what you got. But this is a high risk bet here. This is a bet you got to take Notre Dame as a home dog, but Cincinnati scares you. Maybe you play the game under, because Cincinnati's got a top 10 defense, and Notre Dame's defense was good, and if they don't get the pick sixes, it's an under with Wisconsin. So that's what you look for. So you're really trying to mismatch, right? You're give me that strong passing attack. Give me Fresno State against a weak Hawaii defense. That's really what you're looking for. Or a Penn State revenge against kind of a weak Indiana team that doesn't have a defense, that they're going to have blood in their eyes because they lost. So you got to have a reason to bet it. Again, forget the spread, look at the game, pick the score. And if you can't do that, you can't really, how are you going to bet it? And then you make your own line, and you try to figure out how close you are. Well, what do you think the line? Now, I do my own line. The Vegas line makes the betting even. My line makes the game even. So when I say, Alabama 17 over Mississippi, that's what I think is going to happen. They come out at 14.5, which I'm surprised is what they think the betting will be even, because maybe people like Lane Kiffin for leaving USC. Maybe they love him there. I don't know. But all the money's going on the over, which is 79, which I think is too much. So that's what you're really looking for. The strong, like SMU, South Florida. Again, SMU, I love them. They'll score a ton. What will South Florida do? My line was 28. I think they're 4 touchdowns better. The line comes out 20. You tease it down to 14. I like SMU. There I see the big discrepancy. I think the line's missed. I was in Vegas 3 years ago. Fields' first year and Day's first year at Ohio State. And I live in Michigan, and I see all that. So I'm in Vegas in August, and the line at the win is Michigan favored by 3. And I immediately, bet like $1,000 on the game, because I didn't know Day, and again, Fields, you didn't know who they were. Meyer just stepped down. And I go to the manager of the sports book. He doesn't know I'm Teaser King. And I go, that's a wrong line. You got the wrong team favored there. Ohio State should be at least a 7-point favorite. And he goes, well, did you bet $1 million on it, thinking I'm a smart ass kid? And I said, well, we'll see what happens. And I took Ohio State plus 3.5. The week comes, and I know that Ohio State's, 10. They ended up being a 10, 11-point favorite. I got 3.5. Ohio State wins by 40. And I wanted to personally go and see the manager who called me a dumbass for being a smart ass going, you got the wrong team favorite. And I was serious. I was like trying to help the guy going, you need to make Ohio State favorite in this game, not Michigan. And the game might have been at Michigan. I don't remember, but I was like, you've got to be kidding. How can you make Michigan favorite in the game? And so I was right, but I know like now Ohio State would be at least a 10-point favorite over Michigan. So these guys don't know what they're doing. They just look at statistics and they take averages. They're not taking into account like the Penn State revenge. They don't take into account changes like Oregon State's now a lot different than they were last year. So how are they coming up with percentages? Then I hear these idiots on the radio. There's a BetMGM like show, and I listen to the show, and the guy's saying, "Well, my line's 12, and the line's 13. I can't bet the game." He's talking like pros, and I'm going, "Where are you getting 12 as your line? Where are you getting the figures for your line? They played 3 games. There was COVID last year. How the hell can you tell how good a team is from last year to this year? How are you judging injuries? Are you judging off of a loss or not? Where are you coming up with this bullshit?" And the guy, I bet and I'm just laughing at the guy like, you're a freaking idiot. You don't know. You have no idea how to pick football game. That's not how you pick. You got to watch and you got to rank the teams, and then that's where you go from. Brett, do you think Texas A&M will beat Mississippi State? I think it'll be a very close game. I would take the points. A&M is a 7-point favorite over Mississippi State. No, I would not take A&M. Maybe laying 1, but Mississippi State's the play there. They're a very good team. They played LSU tough. A&M has a great defense, no offense. Arkansas put on. Now there's a game, Arkansas, Georgia. Georgia's 18.5-point favorite over Arkansas, who killed Tech. They lit up Texas. Straight up, no, I would not take A&M straight up. That's a game where you tease them to -1 and hold your breath that they win the game. So you got Arkansas, Georgia. Arkansas, they're an A team, they're an over team, and they are balanced. They're going to give – this will really be the test for Georgia. I think this game is going to be closer than 18.5. I mean, this game – see, people look at Georgia and they beat Vanderbilt 72-0 or whatever, and that's what they remember is the last game. They don't remember the Clemson game where they didn't even score a touchdown. So this is my point. You got to look at the whole picture. You can't look at the last – This spread's way off. I mean, Georgia's probably be a 10-point favorite, but everybody's betting them because they won 62-0, and and they beat Clemson on a pick 6. Their offense didn't score, so Georgia's been scoring a lot, not against a team like Arkansas. Arkansas in 24. Good Lord. I mean, again, it's risky because you're playing Georgia, and I hate betting against an Alabama and a Georgia, but I would not take Georgia in this game. This is this is A versus A. This team killed Texas, for Christ's sake, and they just beat A&M 20-10. Now, holding A&M to 10's not a lot, but getting 20 on them is. Their defense is like Georgia's. So this will be 28-20 Georgia, maybe. Maybe Arkansas even wins the game. It wouldn't surprise me. This Arkansas team is very, very strong. So that's what you're looking for. You're trying to bet strength against weakness. If both teams are the same, then you want the dog. You're trying to get the right dog, though. Michigan, Wisconsin this is just matchup city, and if Michigan goes favorite, they did go favorite for 5 minutes, and it was like Sunday, and I should have bet Wisconsin then, but I was waiting for my pros. But Wisconsin. Man, getting 5 is probably a great bet. Although their quarterback sucks, but they'll just run it down Michigan's throat and their defense, and should be a low-scoring game. What's the over-under? 43. It's a bit low, but that's probably a good bet too. So really, that's class. You're looking at quarterbacks. You're looking at defenses and coaches. You're looking at matchups. You're looking at teams like Oregon State, who now is watching the USC game, watching that quarterback light them up, and USC look like a high school team. Jesus Christ, Washington does not look exceptionally strong. Losing to Michigan, losing to Montana. Yeah, they beat some team. They beat Cal 31-24. They're not in Oregon State's league. So Oregon State is the unknown that is really a very strong team and can score. Washington will not stop. They couldn't stop Cal, whose offense is not nearly as strong. So that's what you have there. So I think I covered most of it. UCF, Dylan Gabriel is out. He'll be out for a few weeks. So you got to be careful with their new quarterback. Otherwise, this would be a lock over Navy, only laying 16. They'd kill him, but not without the quarterback. Fresno State's quarterback's back. Notre Dame's quarterback will play. Miami's quarterback is, I believe, out. King. Even though I see the line go from 4 to 5, which I don't understand, but King is questionable. Maybe they think he's going to play, but big deal. The Vegas quarterbacks, 2 of them are injured. They're both questionable, so they'll probably get out there, but they're already hurt. So again, I'd start off with Virginia in 11 and then work your way down through the slate. Again, looking for live dogs, looking for like a Penn State, an Alabama, a Baylor, an SMU. Just take in the Notre Dame game. You'll see how strong Cincinnati is. UCLA is -3.5. You like UCLA? I like the game over, I think. It's a tough game. Arizona State's supposed to be pretty good, but I do like UCLA. They're a very strong offensive team, but Arizona State, well coached, supposedly has a good defense. You know, they're a pretty strong team, but they, like I said, they lost to BYU. So again, I'm not sure what you can, I don't know. Arizona State's, if it was Arizona, yeah, I'd be all over it. But Arizona State's not a bad team. They could pull the upset here, and this is probably a very close game, probably a 31-30, 31-27 type of game. Arizona State's got skilled players and a good coach, and they'll be motivated as the dog here. So UCLA doesn't have the defense to lay the 3.5 in this game. They do have the offense, so probably it's more of an over. But again, this is not strong versus weak. So you got to think strong versus weak. You keep asking me strong versus strong, right? A&M, Mississippi State, very tough game. UCLA, Arizona State, very tough game. You got to get away from those games. Those games are very high risk because you're dealing against 2 good teams. The play there, if any, is tease the dog, not take the favorite. That's where you get in trouble. So you got to look more for SMU, South Florida. Then you can ask that question, and I'd say, yeah, SMU should kill them, or Penn State, Indiana. But you keep trying to mess with strong versus strong, and I'm telling you, it's a very high risk, and that's how you lose. You're better off playing the strong weak. You're better off with UTSA. You're better off with Nebraska. You're better off with Fresno State. You want the mismatch. You want the team that's going to blow them out 45-0. That's what you want to bet on. You want to bet. You want to go after games that are extremely tough, that Arizona State could beat them. Yes, I know they lost to BYU, but this is a conference game, and they're a dog, and they're well coached and everything else. I have to, because I'm a pick'em league. Oh, well, then tell me that. I have to pick a winner. Okay, so those are your games. You have to pick that game. If you have to pick that game and you're laying 3.5, I take Arizona State. If you have to pick A&M, Mississippi State, I would take Mississippi State. If you have to pick it in the pick'em league. If you're betting with the casinos, the bookies, then I would not bet them. One of 31 games. I can pick your 31 games for you. Send me the fee for consultation. It's, I think, $30 or $35, and send me your 31 games, and I can pick all 31. I'm not going to do it on the video because there's other people here, and I have other things to talk about. But if you want, send me a consultant fee, like $30, $35, and I'll give you my input on all 31 games. So I think that's it. I notice these live when I'm on live, and I enjoy being on live. I can answer questions. I am having longer videos, so I apologize if it's too long, but I try to cover a lot and give a lot of good information. So again, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to teach, so you can kind of figure this out. But you don't have my knowledge or skill set because I've been doing this since 1970. So I had USC over Notre Dame in the big Anthony Davis game. I had SC -7. Notre Dame's winning 24-0, 24-6 at half. Then Anthony Davis goes crazy. I remember betting that game, having USC laying 7. So that's how far back I go. So I always ask myself, why did I lose? And then usually I'm overvaluing one team and usually I'm undervaluing one team, be it a South Florida, a Connecticut. I think they stink, but they don't really stink that much, or they change quarterbacks and now they score more and they get a backdoor cover. Like BYU, South Florida. Why did I lose? Because I thought BYU would kill them. They beat Utah and Arizona State, and then here comes South Florida, who I figure, they'll just kill them, and they win 37-24 or something. They don't cover. So that's why I lose. So then I am much more careful analyzing the team now, going, South Florida's not as bad. They're not a Z team. So I got to be more careful with them. I still don't think they're very good, but they're not as bad as I think. So that's how I look. So anyway, I'll do the pros probably tomorrow. www.teaserking.com. Big lock going this week. It's a college pro lock, so you gotta come in Saturday at the latest, Saturday morning, but I would say by Friday night. The locks I think are $75 for the lock, but you could get the whole weekend for I think $125, all the pros, all the college, and all the locks. And I've been having a lot of people buy the year because I really made the year price cheaper, so it's like $750, but you're getting 17 weeks plus the playoffs. You're getting 20 weeks at $700 is like $50 a week, which and you're getting all this advice, all the locks, and all the college and the pros. So you're getting all that. So I've been getting a lot of that lately, or monthly people. It really pays to buy the month because it's $300 for all the games. You get 4 weeks versus $125 a week. So you're paying almost $500 if you bought each week. So anyway, let me know. So you can go to the site www.teaserking.com. You'll get my email there and you can ask me questions. But if you have like Brett does or other people, I've played 9, 10, 13 team teasers for people. I just ask for an advisory fee. And then maybe I get a small percentage. There's one guy in Delaware. He played, I think it's a 13 team card. He could make $500,000. So I take like 5%. So you pay me for my advice. I give you all the picks. And about 3 or 4 times we missed by one team of him having a nice holiday. So anyway, I'll help that way. And I try to go through a lot of games, but and again, there's a lock. And again, you don't know the units to bet and how to bet teasers. It's not like straight plays, and you got to be careful putting certain teams in multiple teasers because you're going to get losers. So you don't want the losers to cancel the winners. You want to have more winners than losers. You will have losers. It's just the nature of the beast. All right, everybody, have a great day, and I will be on around this time for the pros tomorrow. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And good luck to you on this weekend. I hope I helped you.